How many hours have you spent this week talking about your goals instead of working toward them? Debating what you should do instead of just doing it? Planning the perfect approach instead of taking the messy first step? If you're honest, probably too many to count. You're not alone in this struggle. We live in an age of endless analysis, infinite opinions, and perpetual planning. We research the best morning routine instead of just waking up early. We debate the perfect diet instead of eating better today. We argue about what success looks like instead of simply succeeding. But nearly 2,000 years ago, a man who carried the weight of the entire Roman Empire on his shoulders discovered something profound about this very human tendency to overthink and underact. Marcus Aurelius wasn't just any philosopher writing from the comfort of his study. He was the most powerful man in the world, facing plague, war, and personal tragedy on a daily basis. While governing an empire that stretched from Britain to the Middle East, he found time to write his deepest thoughts in what we now call meditations. These weren't meant for publication. They were his private conversations with himself. An emperor trying to figure out how to live well while the world was literally falling apart around him. And in those private moments, he wrote something that cuts through all our modern confusion like a sword through silk. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. Let that settle for a moment, because this isn't just advice. This is a battle cry against the paralysis of perfectionism. Picture Marcus Aurelius for a moment. He's in his tent on the Germanic frontier, exhausted from another day of military campaigns. His advisors are debating strategy. His philosophers are arguing ethics. His generals are discussing the qualities of great leadership. And Marcus, he's tired of the talking. Because here's what he understood that we often miss. Every moment spent debating what we should become is a moment stolen from actually becoming it. Think about your own life. How often do you catch yourself in endless loops of analysis? You know you should exercise, so you spend hours researching the perfect workout plan. You know you should eat better, so you debate keto versus Mediterranean versus intermittent fasting. You know you should be more patient with your family, so you read articles about emotional intelligence while snapping at your kids. Marcus saw this trap clearly. He realized that the Roman Senate could debate the nature of virtue for years while Rome burned. His advisors could argue about the perfect response to threats while enemies gathered at the gates. He could analyze what makes a good emperor while his people suffered. The quote strikes at something deeper than procrastination. It's about the fundamental difference between performance and practice, between appearing good and being good. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Notice he doesn't say arguing is worthless. Discussion has its place. But when arguing becomes a substitute for action, when debate becomes an excuse for inaction, that's when we waste our most precious resource, time. The word arguing here is crucial. In the original Greek, it suggests not just discussion, but the kind of endless, circular debate that produces heat, but no light. The kind of conversation where you leave feeling smart, but unchanged. We see this everywhere today. Social media feeds full of people arguing about what compassion looks like while walking past homeless individuals on the street. LinkedIn posts about leadership principles from people who can't manage their own teams. Endless podcasts about productivity from people whose lives are chaos. Marcus cuts through all of it with two simple words. Be one. Not try to become one. Not work toward being one. Be one. Present tense. Starting now. This is radical because it suggests that goodness isn't a destination you arrive at after years of preparation. It's not a certificate you earn after reading enough books or attending enough workshops. Goodness is a practice you begin right now, wherever you are, with whatever you have. Imagine applying this principle to your biggest challenge today. Maybe you've been arguing with yourself about what a good parent should do while your children grow up in front of you. Maybe you've been debating what a good partner looks like while your relationship slowly deteriorates. Maybe you've been discussing what success means while opportunities pass you by. Marcus would say, stop, Just stop and start being the person you've been talking about becoming. Here's what makes this so difficult for us modern humans. We've been trained to believe that more information leads to better decisions. We think that if we just research enough, plan enough, discuss enough, we'll somehow be more prepared for action. But Marcus understood something profound about human nature. We don't argue about what a good person should be because we lack information. We argue because action is scary and uncertain, while talking is safe and comfortable. When you actually start being generous instead of debating generosity, people might reject your help. When you start being honest instead of discussing integrity, you might face difficult consequences. When you start being disciplined instead of planning discipline, you might fail publicly. Talking about virtue is risk-free. Being virtuous requires courage. But here's the beautiful paradox Marcus discovered. The moment you stop arguing and start being, clarity arrives. Not before action, but through action. You don't figure out how to be patient by analyzing patience. You become patient by practicing patience in moments when you want to explode. You don't learn courage by studying brave people. You develop courage by doing brave things when you're terrified. So how do we actually live this? How do we bridge the gap between knowing and doing? First, implement the 5-minute rule. The next time you catch yourself in analysis paralysis, set a timer for 5 minutes. Use those 5 minutes to take one small action toward your goal instead of researching or planning. Want to start writing? Write for 5 minutes. Want to be more grateful? Text someone a thank you. Want to get in shape? Do 5 minutes of movement. Marcus would rather see you act imperfectly than plan perfectly. Second, practice identity-based action. Instead of asking, what should I do? Start asking, what would the person I want to become do right now? If you want to be disciplined, ask what a disciplined person would do with the next hour. If you want to be kind, ask what a kind person would do in this conversation, then do that thing immediately, without debate, without hesitation. Third, end your day with the action audit. Before bed, ask yourself, what did I argue about today? And what did I actually do? Be brutally honest. Did you spend more time planning your morning routine or actually following one? More time discussing your goals or working toward them? More time debating your values or living them? Let the imbalance motivate tomorrow's choices. Marcus Aurelius died on another military campaign, far from Rome, still fighting for his empire. But he left us something more valuable than military victories or political achievements. He left us the recognition that life is too short and too precious to waste in endless preparation for a performance that never comes. The person you've been planning to become, they're not waiting for you in some distant future. They're waiting for you to stop talking about them and start being them. So here's my challenge for you. What have you been arguing about that you could simply start being today? What conversation are you having that could become action right now? Because somewhere out there, the person you're meant to become is tired of waiting for you to stop talking and start doing.